are going to make a simple soil test to determine the type of soil that you have, and we are going to do it in a jar. And you also need some water, and last you need some soil. So let's go get some soil. So what we need to do is take our jar and we're going to fill it up about a third of the way with soil. Oh, it's hard when you're only using one hand. Alright, that looks about right. Okay, let's go back to the table. Alright, now we're back. We have our soil. Now what we're going to do is add some water. Mud. Alright, I'm going to leave a little space just so that there's enough room for when we shake it, it can move around really well. Alright, and then you close it up really tight. Now this is the shake part of the mud shake. Hopefully you close it up tight enough. So what this is doing is it's mixing all of the soil. And then what we're going to do is we're going to let it settle for a little while. It can be up to a day, and then we're going to come back out. We're going to see the layers as it settles. You can see that it's starting to settle a little bit. You can see the sand layer on the bottom. You can see all the natural organic matter that's floating on the surface there. It looks like some stuff still has to settle down, so you can see our other layers of clay and silt a little more clearly. So we'll check back again. Okay, so this is the jar after a couple days. You can see along the very top, you see all the natural debris there, all the organic material like sticks, twigs, dried leaves and stuff that were in the soil. Then you have the clear layer. It looks like there is still some suspended materials. It's not entirely clear in there. And then if you look, you can clearly see the sand on the bottom. It's a lot lighter. And then there's this darker layer here. Now there really should be 3 layers. It should be sand, and then silt, and then clay. And I'm having a hard time in my sample really determining where the layer between clay and silt is. Perhaps like right here could be clay and that's silt. Either way, it looks like we have quite sandy soil here. The sand comes all the way up to here, it looks like, and that's almost half of the sample. Ideally, you would have about 30% sand, 30% clay, and 40% of that silt for a good soil to grow in. So you can also look inside the sample and observe some of the cool things that you can find in your soil. So a lot of the time when people think of soil, they just think of dirt. And there is so much more that makes up soil. Now, I noticed in mine, there were all these like little cracks, almost like a tunnel. And when I turned it around, let's see if I can find it again. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it went back. There was actually a worm. A little earthworm that was in there on the surface. But you can also notice some other things, like right here. It looks like a small seed that had started to germinate in the soil. Okay, friends, I'm not sure if you can see that little white worm thing in the center there that is moving. Now, that is something that lives in the soil. Now, I am not 100% sure what this one is, but I have a feeling maybe it could be a nematode. Nematodes are very, very small creatures that live in the soil. They are like worms that live in those tiny pockets of water that exist in your soil. Look at it. It's just kind of standing up and twisting there. No matter what it is, whether it's a teeny tiny worm or a nematode, it's kind of cool to see the kinds of things that live in our soil. All right, and here we have a chart that will tell us what kind of soil we have. So what you do is you look at what percent sand. So in our sample, we saw that it was about half sand. So I'm going to go with 50%, half 50%. And it was a little hard to tell our clay and silt, but I think it was something closer to 40% silt and 10% clay around there. So find 40% silt, 10% sand, and see where the lines match. That would be right here, which shows us we have 10% clay. So it looks like we have a loamy soil, almost a sandy loam here. So you can take a look at your sample and see how much of each soil component you have to determine what kind of soil you have, and that will also help if you're trying to grow something in that soil, how you might want to amend or add things to the soil to make it better for growing what you want to grow. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed making your soil mud shake today and learning a little bit about soil. Thank you, and hope to see you again soon.